Hello, welcome everyone again to this fourth onboarding session, which is about your first scrapping project, finally. So you've done the first three onboarding courses, and now we're getting into the heart of the matter. This is Mohammed from Artila, and welcome again. So when you start Artila, you land on this page, yeah? And let's start a project. So today I'm gonna give it a name, as we saw last time, my first scrapping project. And we are going to scrap, I'm gonna just paste the URL, books.toscrape.com. This is a very good first candidate that we already covered before. So I got the name, I got the URL, I hit start. That creates the project and saves it from me. I'm gonna move my face out of the way. Let's just put it right here. So as we've started to see in the former onboarding sessions, when you start, you can toggle between the automation and the inspection panel. Yeah. So we have seen that to extract the results, we need to call the extract command. But the extract command doesn't make sense unless you already go to where the data is. So this is what answers the point of today, which is where to use the extract command. So where to use the extract command depends on where the data is. So if, let's say, I want to scrape just the names and the prices and the stock from the homepage of this website, then I'm going to create a new data set, which is going to be a list mode, if you remember, because these are many elements of the same entity. And then I will create my properties like we did before. So title, and then let's say we want the price, and then we want the image, yeah? So let's redo it just for the sake of repetitive learning. So title, I go to CSS locator, I hit the title, I get too much, 94, remember, I click where I don't want, I'm back to 40, and remember there is a trick here, because I clicked on the title, but there is another container that actually will give me the 20 books that are on the page. Right now it's taking the title and the container of every book, so that makes it 20 by 2, 40. Let's remove this, and I don't want this title, I want the container, and those are 20 of them. They give me the titles right here. Let's go now to get the price. So CSS locator, again I go on the price right here. For the price it's fine, it got the right selector, 20, yeah, concordance here. 20 books, 20 prices, and then we're going to go and get the images. So I click on CSS selector, click the image, and I don't get the image because remember the attributes, the image URL is in a different place, and we basically have different possibilities. The inner text, which gives this image, and if you remember also, we can use the attribute which is src. Yeah, so just use whatever you want. I'm going to go with the inner text for now. So now I have my data, I can think about the extract command. And in this very simple case, now I can switch to automation, and I'm going to click new command, and I'm going to extract my data. And that's it. That's already my first project done. I have just scraped, or I'm going to show you how to scrape the homepage with all the books. So I save this, then I exit the inspector, and now we're going to scrape it. We're going to scrape the homepage with all the books. So my first project scrapping, I'm going to click on the run button, and I'm going to run it locally. And then when I click run, it's going to open the page, load the books, and it's already finished the job. It took the 20 books from the homepage, and if I go to the results now, I have 20 results, as you can see. Now I click preview, and I have all the 20 books with their names, their prices, and their images. And if you remember, you can export this data into a CSV file and then open it in Excel and so on. Yeah. So that's what we have done. We have scraped our first homepage book. The third point is about scrapping one book, but getting all the data of that book. So let's just create another project so that we don't confuse them. I'm going to create a new project, quick start, and this time is my first project, single page book. And same, I'm going to scrape our little books2scrape.com. I start. Again, I'm going to start from scratch so that we can again see together the different points. So again, to answer the very first point of this onboarding session is where and when to use the extract command. So again, it depends on the end objective. So first, I'm going to go to the final page where the data is, and I'm going to create the data set and make sure that I am grabbing all my information. So I recreate my property for the title, and then I'm going to go click on CSS selector and go get the title. And I'm already making a mistake. Yeah. By default, it's a list page. And as we've seen before, this is not a list page. This is not a grid. This is not a catalog of products. This is a single page. So right here, switch data set to detail. Okay? So always keep this in mind. Now I've done it. I will not suffer some weird data hiccups. Now I want the price. I click on CSS selector. I go click this price. I get the price. Very good. Now I go and I get our famous image. And the famous image, CSS selector right here. I click the image. I am having the inner text. Again, remember, I could go and grab or see if there is anything in the SRC, which there is. But it's okay. I just want the inner text. That's the image I want. I want the thumbnail. Now I save this. And let's run it. So now we're going to get a single page book scrap. We're going to scrap the details of a single page book. So again, I run locally. It's going to open the home page, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work, and this is why we're doing this learning. Let's look at the results. I'm getting one result, but the data is completely nonsense. Let me explain you why. It's because when I started this project, I started with the same URL, and I didn't bother to go to the URL where the page, the single page book is. So therefore, I'm applying a detail data set to the wrong page. So let's go back and correct that. I reopen this, and we're going to use another command, which is very useful. So you have two ways of dealing with this. You can, let me show you the first way. The first way is to, I need first to copy the URL. The first way is to go to the book that you want to scrape and copy the URL, yeah, and then go to configure this project, and instead of starting with the home page that has all the books, I can start on that particular page straight away, and this way is like a shortcut. I go straight to that page where my dataset has the properties designed for that type of content, yeah, and now if I go back and I inspect this project, it's going to load the page, and you will get the right data. So let's give this a try. Okay, now if I run it, it's going to start on the book page. You see, it starts on the book page. Up, it grabbed the content. I already closed it. Now I can go to the results right here. I have one result, but this time it's getting the right data because I went to the detail page and I got the detailed dataset properties. I got correct data. So this is the first way to address this, but I could also come back right here and just continue like we did before. I start with the home page of all the books, and I'll show you how to reach to that page that we want to extract data from. So now we're starting the same starting point, the home page of books.toscrape.com. And we're going to use the go to URL command. Or we're going to click on the first book. So I switch to automation mode. And let's try two different ways. One is you can use the go to URL. And the go to URL command, you can give it the URL of the book right here. Yeah, I just pasted it. And you can just add some wait navigation so that it will load It will take maybe 10-second timeout. And when I go to this URL and it's fully displayed, then I'm going to extract right here. I'm going to throw my extract right here because now I know that I am on the right page. So I'm going to save it here. And if I run this, let me show you. If I run this now, it will go to the home page and then go to the URL of the book and then extract. Let's run it locally. Okay, so it loaded the home page. It waits for it. Now it loaded with the go to URL the detail page of this particular book. It's going to scrap and close and get us the same data. Detail page on a unique entity. And now if I go back to my results, I have a new line of results and the data is correct. So we're good. Now let's go back and do one more way. Now we're going to use, we're going to click on the first book only for now. We will cover how to click on, how to cloak or click on all the books once we do the training on the loops. But for now, we're going to just do it on one particular book. So I just delete everything. I keep my data sets, which remain the same. Yeah, but now they don't apply to the right page. Yeah. So I go back to the command and I'm going to use the command which is called click command. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click just on one book. So here, click on element. Same thing that we do with the CSS locators, the properties, sorry. We click on CSS locator and then I'm going to go and just click on, yeah, the image is clickable. So I could click here. You see, I'm clicking, I'm getting 20. So this is effectively is going to create a loop and we'll click on 20 books. But for today's example, we're not going to address the loop right here. What we're going to do is that we're going to unclick the other books. And now it's only clicking on the first book, which is the first child of the first column and its thumbnail. So it's going to give us the same result as go to URL of that specific book. This is the equivalent just by using the click command. Again, because I click, it's going to load the page. I need to also wait a little bit. So I need to make sure that I wait navigation. So if it's a very slow website, you may put 30 seconds, 20 seconds timeout, yeah? And if it's really like a website that polls a lot of data, you can also do here page that do long polling, like if it has a lot of data that will come up further down. So usually this does the job for most of the website and 10 seconds is enough if you have a fast connection. Now I throw in my extract command right here. So I throw in my extract command after I click first. Once I click, I make sure I wait that the data is going to be there and that this is the right page and that the data is fully displayed, and then only I throw my extract command. So this is, again, where and when to use the extract command. So let's give it a test. Now we're using the click. From a run perspective, it will look the same. Whether you do go to URL or click, in the browser, on the browser side, it's just going to go to the right page. So again, we start on the home page. It clicked on the first book. It's scrapping the data. And I can actually preview here that what it is doing. So it's still loading. It's scrapping the data and it finished. And it closed the window. So now I can go back right here. And I can double check that I got the right data. And indeed, I got the right data. So here we have covered the different ways of scraping a single page. Now we can go to the next point. The next point is a prelude to the loop. But we're not going to loop through. We're not going to loop through the product. I'm going to show you. So we're going to scrape the books by category. We're going to scrape the first 20 books of each category. That's the use case of this next point. So let's clone the project that has the list mode. I think it's this one. So I click on the hamburger menu, clone. Okay, now I cloned it. I'm going to rename it. So configuration here. And we're going to call it always give some unique and semantic titles. So this is going to be scrape books, scrape 20 first books of each category. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to start from the home page. So I leave the same URL. Now I go back. I'm going to inspect it so that I can edit it. Okay, title changed. Let's go to inspect. Put it full screen. All right, let's double check our inspection panel. Yes, we have the list mode. We have the titles, we have the prices, and we have the images of all. So this is the right design for all the 20 books. And also, I'm going to double check. So I'm going to disable the selector, and I'm going to go to the travel category. And even before automating, it's better to run through the different pages that you want to scrape and make sure that the data set and the properties remain the same and valid. So now I'm on the travel category, and I want to see whether the titles are still being caught. And you can see here that I'm getting now 11 right here. So there is 11 books, 4, 4, and 3. That's correct. So you see sometimes the category has more or less books. And also it's getting me the 11 images. So I have my concordance. Let's try another category just in case. So I disable the selector. Let's go to mystery. Okay, mystery. How many? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Okay, so if I go now back and I click, it's going to re-update, and indeed this category has 20 and we're getting all the 20s. So it looks like we have a reliable data set and property that work with all the categories. So this is a good practice to go through the different pages that you target to make sure that they are all standardized and in harmony. Okay, now we know that it's the case. I can create a loop that goes through all the category pages. So I can leave my camera right here to make space. Let's switch to automation panel. And we're not going to extract right now because we need to first go through the categories. So I'm going to remove my extract command. And what I will use first is I'm going to create a loop using the click command. So let's do that. Oh, sorry, I switched. So new command right here. And let's go and get the click command. Click on an element. And good practice, always give a good name to your commands. So here, I'm going to click on each category. Then I know what I'm doing right here. And then I'm going to click on CSS selector, and I'm going to go and find out what is the CSS selector for the categories. So I go and I click on travel, but then it's getting me the title, the breadcrumb, and the project names. It's getting too much stuff. That's not correct. So I don't want this. Now I have 51. 51, it's still grabbing stuff that I don't want, which is probably I don't want these main books because that's the home page. So I out-click it. Now we have 50. 50 looks like it's the number of categories. Yeah. So let's assume this is the number of categories and we're good. Now what we have done essentially is that this has become a loop that will loop through the 50 categories one by one. So it's going to go first to travel, and then scrape the 20 books, and then it's going to go to mystery, and then scrape the 20 books, and so on and so on and so on until we get all the books. So this is essentially already a loop. Now, everything that I want to do on a page, it has to be inside the loop command. So first, when we click, we need to wait. Remember that every time you load a page or you click on a new link, you need to wait. So let's throw a wait command. We're going to wait 10 seconds. That's enough for this website. And then once we click, and you can also run the command to click the first link to double check if it's working on the studio. So I'm going to click the first and see if it's going to bring me on the travel, which is the case, yeah? So clicking is working. Now I reach this page, good. Now I wait navigation, and then once the navigation is complete, now I'm going to extract my data. I click on extract. When it will extract, it will actually, I go back to inspection, and it will extract all this, which is correct, 11 data for this particular category. And once it does that for the first category, then it will click again the next available link. So the good thing is that Artilla already manages for you the order of clicking. It knows that you click the first one, and then on the next cycle, it's going to click the second one. So not here in the studio, but once we run it, it will click mystery, and after mystery, it will click historical fiction, and then grab the 20 books, 20 books, 20 books. Yeah? And what we can do also is we can run it, and maybe run it for 3 categories and double check if it's working. So I save. Let's run it. So we start on the home page, then it should click on travel, which is the case. It's scrapping the 20 books of travel. Then once it finishes scrapping, it's going to move to mystery. It's going to click on mystery category. There it is. Mystery has 32, but we're only scrapping the first 20. We will cover in another session, another training, how to paginate. Yeah, pagination is a higher, a bit more advanced. Today we're just doing a simple loop of going through the categories. So you can see that now it's on the 3rd category, historical fiction, the 4th category, sequential art. So our click loop is really working. It's going through the categories and getting me the 20 books, the first 20 books of every category, if there are 20 books, because the first one has 11. So I'm going to shut it down, and I want to look at the results to make sure that it's getting what we want. So how many? We got 71, which is likely a good number. And there we go. So we have, as you can see here, all the books, and then I have more than one page. I can go here and go to the next page and next page, and you will notice, now that we are going through the categories, I have no idea to which category these books belong. So right now I'm not able to figure out if I actually went through the categories, and I'm losing count as to which book belongs to which category. So let's resolve that. Let's go back and enhance our automation. We need to also capture the category name. So here what we can do is we go right here, go back to inspect, and let's mimic what the program is doing. So first it will click on the category, and then right here we have to go back into the inspection panel, and I'm grabbing this, I'm grabbing the title, the price, and the image, and let's try to grab this one, the travel category, which appears as a H1 right here. So if I click CSS selector and I click here, I'm going to get the H1. Yeah. Now, if you noticed, this breaks my data logic, because again, now we're trying to get a grid, a list, a catalog, which is list mode, but travel is a data for a single page. In this case, the single page is the category. So the way to resolve this is not to add as a property like this using the CSS selector, but I'm just going to create the property, and I'm going to call it category page, and I'm going to use a variable. I'm going to use what we call a DOM variable to feed it right here as a default value. So this is also a very useful command. So now I'm going to add, so when I go to the category page, I wait for navigation. I'm going to use my DOM, or we call it the selector command. Yeah. So this selector command is going to come right after we finish loading, and I'm going to call it selector category name. Now this exact name you have to copy. Later we will copy it and use it. But now this selector, the good thing is that on the command side, it doesn't care if it's list or detail. It will grab whatever CSS selector is there. So I can use the same CSS selector pin and point, click it. It finds the H1. It finds only one, which is correct. Even though we are looking at grid, it doesn't matter. We're getting the H1 of the category page. So now it's saving the category name, which is travel in this instance. It's saving it into the selector category name variable. This is a variable. It's a variable that reads from the source code, from the page. Now, this variable should be enough. And the way that I can reuse the variable content is that I copy the exact name of the variable. So if you had put a space here, you would have to copy the name with the space. So for good practice, I never put spaces. I can put like dashes or hashes or something, or just a nomenclature like this. I copy it. Now what I'm going to do is I go back to my inspection, and right here, instead of using the CSS selector that will break my list/detail dilemma, I go over that dilemma by using open bracket, and then you paste in. So let's do it another way. I go back, I get exactly the name of my, I copy the name of my variable. I come right here, I paste it, and then in front and after, I'm going to put my double opening bracket in the front. Okay, I will encapsulate it. And then I will double close again these brackets. I don't know how to call them in English, but we will zoom them in so that you can know them and find them on your keyboard. Okay, so what it essentially says, when you use the double bracket and close double bracket, it informs Artilla that now get me that variable current value and print it right here. So it doesn't show at the moment when we are in the Artilla Studio. But once you're running, Artilla Studio is able to access that variable, and then when you extract, it will extract the current variable value of that page at that moment. So which should be, every time we switch to a new category page, it will change. So let's test it, and if it doesn't work, then there is a learning opportunity. So now we have title, price, images, 11 of each or 20 of each, and the category page, which is a single data, but it comes from the variable. Okay, that's what we have. Let's run it. Okay, it's going to start as usual from the home page. Don't mind these little messages. Okay, now it went already to travel, and let's look at what's going on from the inspection side here while it's running. So you see, boom, 11 results, they're in. Now it's going to the next page, and it should have loaded the next page. Let's look at it. Yeah, we're on mystery, and it's going to swallow the 20 results. Up, we're at 31, and so on. I think we have enough results to double check our category name and see if we are grabbing it properly. So let's go to the results and look at our 31 results. And there you go. I have the first 11, they are indeed from the travel category. The next ones are on mystery, and so on. So you're already doing, right now, if you can reproduce this, you're already doing a pretty advanced automation. It's still simple, but as you can see, there is a mix of information, and this is how you deal with it and you extract all the data. Now we can move to the next point. Now, the next point that we're going to see is how do you export the results? And we have a couple of ways. I will briefly talk about them today and show you the first two. And the last one we will cover on a specific training and course. Yeah. So when you are in the project here, the last project that I modified is this one that goes for all the results. You have, when you don't check this box, it will save the results, and then the first way to get them is to get them as a CSV file. So for example here, these 31 results, I can go into preview, and then I can export, and then I can save this as a CSV file on my downloads drive folder. It has done it, and now I can go and I can open this file right here. I can open it in Excel, or I can open it in a text pad, and you will see that we will get all our data. So right now the data is on line by line. So what you need to do, depending on your software, but you can convert to text to columns just by doing so. And I think we're using a comma. Yeah, so the comma will organize column by column, and now we have all our data right here. So we have sort of a mismatch somewhere here. There is a book that has the name 1. It's because there is a comma in one of the titles. So because Excel uses comma as a separator, if the title has a comma, then it will break the title in two, which is probably what is happening here. And then it will break the logic of the data. So we will cover in another training how to clean up the data, how to use another variable that can go through, how to use a small JavaScript or some filters and remove all the comma or points or hashes or whatever can disturb the data. We can cover that when we do data formatting. But this is what happens. But otherwise, this would be good. Actually, when you open it with Google Sheet knows how to deal with this, and you will not have this discrepancy. So this is how you access and you open you export into a CSV file, and then you use it in Excel. But also, you can actually just go back to the project, and we can try another feature, which is the Google Sheet here. So at the bottom right here, you can connect your Google account to Artila so that Artila can connect to your Google Sheet. When you do that, then you can activate this synchronization option right here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to duplicate and clone this project so that I have one project that extracts it in CSV only, and then I have one project that extracts it into a Google Sheet. So now this one, I'm going to rename it, and I call it Google Sheet. So this one, I know that it goes and saves my stuff on Google Sheet. And what it does is that on the first run, it will create a new Google Sheet. And then every time you run it, it will just synchronize and populate the new rows. So now I can synchronize with my Google Sheet. And now if I run it again, even if I run it locally, it will still connect to my Google Sheet and create a new Google Sheet file. So we're going to let it run maybe for 2 pages, maybe the travel and mystery category. All right, travel is going there. Now it's going to go to mystery. Okay, it's loading mystery, and then let me see. Once we get the results, we can stop it. Let's wait for the mystery category results. They're coming. Okay, good. That's enough. Let's close this. Right. Now if I look at my projects here, if I reload the project panel, I have a new button right here, a green cloud sheet. So if I click this now, it's going to open, it opened it on a new screen. I'm going to bring it down. Here you go. All right. This is my Google Sheet, and you can see that actually Google Sheet doesn't have that problem that we saw just now with the Excel and CSV, even though there is a comma in one of the names, or a dot, I don't know what was messing it up. It's working. So all my results are going into here, and it's even adding some unique references which are related to the project ID, the run unique ID, and some other things that we can later optionally remove. But you can see that this is another way of extracting and using your results, and it created a unique reference, and then it will update it again. So if I do now a new run that goes through 50 results, then it will add the next 30 results and so on. So that's about this point of today, and that also brings us to the last part. So we have covered everything, and we hope that this onboarding course, which was onboarding number 4 about your first scrapping project, was able to give you a first batch of data. This is still the very beginning of your adventure in Artila, but it's also very good to start to have some simple results, simple but assured results like these ones. So we really invite you to play around with books to scrape in different ways, try to get more data than what I did, more than 3, more than just the price and the image and the title, go ahead, play around, make yourself familiar, and then we see you on the next courses, which will go to a more advanced level. Thank you again of being part of Artila. See you again.